Government accounting officers have failed to blacklist companies that deliver shoddy work. The National Treasury briefed the Standing Committee on Public Accounts on the blacklisting of companies that were implicated in malpractice and irregularities. Treasury says it doesn't have the power to force government departments to report suppliers that should be on these databases. Lindsay Dentlinger following this story for us. She joins us now live from Cape Town. So the failure to actually blacklist dodgy companies, Lindsay, ultimately means that they're being enabled to continue doing business with the state.
That's exactly the point, Shahan. We know just yesterday the special tribunal refused to have two companies which were responsible for the dodgy work on the Beitbridge border fence to profit from that contract. And what is significant about that is those construction companies, they were not new to government. It was not the first time they've done work for government. They've done work many times for Public Works. That is how Public Works was able to get a hold of them to do this under emergency procurement procedures in the first place. So really the point is, Shahan, that these companies, either whether they are involved in corrupt dealings or whether they produce a substandard work, the point is they keep coming back and keep doing business with the state. But the point that Treasury was trying to make today, and which you have also alluded to, is that Treasury says their hands are tied. They can't do anything about blacklisting these companies unless it's reported to them. Yes, they are responsible for managing two databases, one the restricted supplier database, the other for defaulters, and the latter being where a court has given an order that the company no longer do business with the state. But the Treasury says these kinds of cases are happening all over the country. There's no way for them to keep track whether such a default judgment is handed down, and unless accounting officers or the state entities involved in these cases bring it to their attention, they cannot be added to the database. There are only just over 50 restricted suppliers added to the restricted suppliers database, and you and I know, given all the corruption that took place just during this pandemic in terms of the procurement of personal protective gear, that there are dozens more companies that have fallen foul of procedures that are above board. The SIU, for example, that's the Special Investigating Unit, also telling the same committee today that it has made over 500 referrals to both national and provincial departments of companies that they think should possibly be added to these databases, but it's simply not happening because Treasury says accounting officers are not prepared to take responsibility. They're not reporting these companies to Treasury, and the laws as they now stand does not allow for Treasury to take either any action against these accounting officers or for anything to happen in terms of forcing them to submit these names to the suppliers. But Shahan, here's a summary of today's proceedings as they unfolded before the Standing Committee of Public Accounts, in which the Deputy Minister of Finance, the Director General of the Treasury, as well as the Chief Procurement Officer weighed in on this debate. Corrupt and poor performing suppliers are denting confidence in doing business with the state, says the Treasury, and this is fueling corruption.
There are instances in which poor performance by companies is as a result of poor project management. ESCOM, Midupi and Kusile build program is a classic example of how poor project management can create cost overruns leading to possible corruption.
On Tuesday, the Special Tribunal ordered two companies involved in the substandard construction of the Beitbridge border fence to not profit from the contract. But without accounting officers stepping up to report defaulting companies, Treasury says its hands are tied.
There are loopholes in the way the current legislative framework is written, and on these matters, and also in terms of the regulations that we can only follow. So if the committee is asking us as to what have we done with a certain accounting officer who has acted in a particular way, I can't answer that.
The Special Investigating Unit says it has made more than 500 referrals to provincial and national departments to consider blacklisting companies unearthed in its investigations.
At the current moment, there are no pending matters for restriction that are sitting with National Treasury. If they are fresh ones, but all the matters have been resolved. If there are instances where there are disputes, such disputes mechanisms are being followed, but it's not that there isn't any movement.
Treasury says its system is foolproof to detect when restricted companies and directors resurface under new company names. Lindsay Dentlinger, Cape Town.